Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Chess Made Simple series. This is episode one. I'll be taking you through how you can make chess so easy because you see, most people like to overcomplicate chess and make it harder than it actually is. And for beginners, that usually overcomplicates things. So, I'm going to be taking you through how you can make chess so easy that it seems intuitive. It seems so basic that anybody can play it. So I will take you through some of the basics of what you're supposed to do to make sure that you improve your rating system. I'll be taking you through the thinking system that helps everybody improve chess very fast. You can move from somewhere around 500 to 1000, or from 1000 to 1500, or from 1500 to 2000, just depending on the level you are at. By applying this system, you can literally improve by 1000 points in ELOS. Let's get into it.
So let's step into the very basics so that you can fully understand chess at a much deeper level. And this applies at all levels. It doesn't matter which level, whether you're a master, you always need to follow these rules. So let me play a game as I illustrate what I'm talking about. So let's go for a classical game. I can go for a 3-minute game, but I mean, not a classical game. Let's go for a rapid game. I barely play rapid games. So I'm only playing this game because of you guys. You need to realize that so that I can show you and just basically teach you how you ought to play this game and all that. So I'm playing a 1282 rated player, I think from Poland or something like that. Don't know which flag that is. Okay, so he has played e4. So you see, always aim to control the center, right? Every move that you play should be able to have a control over the center. This is the center, right? So if I play, let's say I played knight here. This is just for demonstration purposes, right? This is controlling these two squares, right? And there is nothing particularly different about the opening, right? We can transpose. This is now called the Italian, right? Look, this bishop is controlling this square. This knight is controlling these two squares, right? And this pawn is controlling this, the d and the f squares. So all the moves are controlling a particular square. So now here, I can play any move. There is a fried lever. Usually amateurs like to bring the knight here. So he hasn't done that, right? But yeah, that is also an idea. Let me check him first, just to see how he responds. The pawn push is the best move. Then I can just rotate my bishop out. But this is not okay. Depends on who you are playing with. At this level, this is usually not going to affect you that much. You won't be affected that much by playing this move. I cannot exchange my bishop for the knight because I will just be improving my opponent's position, right? So at this point, all that you need to learn is central control. So it's either controlling the center or you're removing a piece that is controlling the center. So this piece is controlling the center, so I'm attacking it. I didn't need to do that. I just wanted to show you that it doesn't make much of a difference whether you are attacking a piece that is controlling the center or you're directly controlling the center. So what I wanted him to do is to overextend these pawns. Yeah. So this is all right. Nothing particularly wrong with what he has played. So I don't have a significant advantage. That's why I don't like this kind of positions, because it's not that it's hard to get an advantage, but it just doesn't give you much of something to work with. So this is an Italian line. This is a very common line where your opponent tries to bombard you with an attack. So they pin this knight, so they're trying to bring in this other knight to attack my knight that is on f6. So all that I need to do is just not allow them to put too much pressure on that knight. I can push this pawn, but you don't want to push pawns that are on your king side, because that creates unnecessary weaknesses. Unless you're going for an attack which you have already thought about, which in the case of the King's Indian is very much effective, but in this case I wouldn't recommend. So just an exchange. So notice I'm controlling this particular square where this knight wants to jump to. right? This now is a very important square in this game that we need to control. So he has played there, trying to force me to capture instead of him capturing, which is not bad. That is an okay move. I can move forward. I can bring my knight, my bishop there, so that I can jump with my knight there, but I would be leaving this pawn behind, which would be a loose end basically. So I don't want to do that. So here another idea would be, how do I free up my knight so that I'm able to jump in there without losing this pawn? I can bring my rook there. So this is just me trying to keep things as simple as possible, right? My knight is being attacked, and I don't want to double it up, and I don't want to lose the pawn. So I can play this move and then rotate my knight over here, but that is too passive. I don't like that, and it might end up losing that. So here I can just play the simple mover, rooker, b8. Just defend that. If he captures, I'll just capture with a pawn, which will block these particular squares for his knight to jump in, which is okay for me. And perhaps I need to play a bit quicker, but I have a lot of time. So notice how we are fighting for these particular squares in many different ways, right? So this bishop is controlling this knight that controls the d5 and the e4 squares. Yeah, I figured. So I just take, and this pawn, also remember, it's controlling that central square, which is okay for me. All right, so now there is no need for my bishop to be there. I can go and instigate, put more pressure on this knight. So if he allows me, I'm going to take that knight, because I'll be doubling up the pieces, and I'll be removing a very strong knight in the game, because all right, now I can push this bishop. The reason as why I'm pushing this bishop is because the knight is blocking the retreat of the bishop. So it's either he takes or he goes back like that. Yeah. And in my case, I don't exactly want to exchange my bishop for his, because I'll be opening up this file. So I'll just let the pieces hang like that. Possibly push this pawn, push, take, and double my pawns, and then I can take this with that. I rotate my rook. I'll be putting pressure on his a pawn, so that is okay for me. He can't take the pawn because it's pinned, but then after pawn push, I have to take, and I don't want to take. So let's just say I can bring out my knight. So try to rotate my knight, but I don't think that has much of an impact. In this particular case, I would say, do I have to push? Okay, let me bring my queen to this square. In the case where it pushes, I can sack, but is there any need for me to sack? I sack, take, queen takes, knight. I don't have a checkmate, but I have some pretty good moves. Okay, let me see. So let's try this out. Let's try this out. I mean, if this doesn't work, I am fucked, but should work. He should take this bishop, because if he doesn't, I'm taking his bishop, and he can't take because he's losing that, and I'll be getting back my piece with 2 pawns on top. So that should be his best move at this point. So in my case now, my plan will be bring out the knight so that I can have that constant threat of a checkmate. Push this pawn, take with the rook, take. Does that work? Okay, so perhaps this pawn push, I threaten this knight. Where does that knight go? Not too many good squares. So yeah, it's not a good sacrifice, but I just wanted the game to end quickly. and it should be a checkmate here. So I also have this pawn push. Okay, that wasn't a good move, like I initially said. Now I can just take that, and he cannot take because I'm threatening check. Yeah, so I have check, and then pawn take. I mean queen take pawn, and yeah, this should be winning for me. Yeah, I don't see a reason why not. It just I can even come here so that the queen doesn't leave the back rank, but this is okay. Yeah. Yeah, I should have anticipated that, but it's okay. So he's trying to bring in the other rook into the game so that I cannot yeah, so that I cannot take the yeah, so that I mean so that he can take the knight over here. But this pin will be all right. I just need to move my king out of the way so that in case he takes the knight, I'm taking with my pawn, and the rook is sort of pinned to the queen, so he needs to move the queen out of the way. Okay, I can push here. Oh, that might not have been the best move. I think I might have just blundered my queen. Did I? Yeah, let me capture with my knight so that I can free up some space there. Yeah, though the pawn push would have, pawn capture would have been better. So I've given up this pawn because my focus is this side. So I need to start pushing the pawns so that I can instigate his position. Just push. Can even rotate my rook double up so that this is always secure, and I always have a really, that doesn't look like a good idea. Okay, so let's see what is his ideas. So he wants to escape, basically take his and try to bring in his knight into the game, but the knight doesn't have any good squares. So let me push the pawn so that I can exchange um, with do I even no, I don't even need to exchange. That would be a good idea, but I don't need to exchange. So I can play, actually this is better. This is so much better. So I can just take, but always I need to be careful with which piece I take with, because taking with a queen is the best move after queen captures here. Yeah. So if I take with the pawn there, the queen is hanging, so I would be down a piece. So I first need to take with a check, and after that now I can just capture the pawn. And yeah, this should be winning for me. So I'm up an exchange. Yeah, he resigns. I'm up an exchange. I'm up everything basically. So he should be resigning. Damn, I just gained 171 elos. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Probably because this is like a new channel. So getting a lot of elos. Probably should lock in, get to like 2000 so that I can be playing some strong players, and I can show you these principles at work. So this one I'm going to play as principled as I possibly can. So nothing too exotic, no unnecessary sacrifices. All right, so still black. Let's see what my opponent is going to start with. So we're always going to focus on this central control. So my opponent has played that. I need to play a move that controls those squares. So my first move needs to be a move that controls 1 over these 4 squares. So I could have pushed the pawn there. Yeah, I could have pushed the pawn. Even e6 is okay. There are some good lines there. So there is an interesting line here which transposes into this line. It's called the dash. I like to play it sometimes. Yeah, after that I go for this is called the Hogwater defense. Should be somewhere. Damn. If I win this one, I'm likely to gain 116 elos. This is a 1400. Yeah, I need to lock in. So this is an interesting line. I've experienced this sometime where my opponent brings in their piece over here, which is okay. I don't have any problems with that, but I can try to just exchange. I don't like the bishop. I don't like this bishop in the game because it really affects the way the game progresses. So instead of keeping it in, I would rather just lose it, and then I bring my pawn over here so that I can go for my dash line. So this is an interesting line where you control the center from a distance instead of controlling it close up. So the bishop is trying to come here to check so that it destabilizes my structure here. If I push, are there ideas of capture? Capture, no, they cannot capture, but I just don't like the fact that I'm going to make my dark square is very weak. So here I can just castle. And this knight will easily just be chased away. But my opponent can also play that move. And in the case where they play that move, I can just drop back because now this is a weakness. And I don't see much that they can do that side. Because now I can even rotate my queen to come this side after I've chased away the knight. So that I can try to create some kingside attack. Okay. This is an interesting move. It's a good move. But no, I feel like it's a waste. Yeah, now that I've thought about it, it's a waste. Because what is the bishop doing here? Then I can go back there anymore. Because now I can drop the bishop. I don't know why my opponent played that. Or maybe they are trying to sacrifice the knight. They take with the bishop, and then they bring in their queen to try to checkmate me. Which can work if I didn't have the knight here, because once I just drop my knight back, that doesn't work. So I don't know why they would do that. So the only good move for the knight is to go there. Yeah, that's not a good move. So we already talked about this not being a good move. That's a blunder. Just basically blunders a bishop, a full bishop. And with a full bishop, there's no way you can win. So I already talked about weakening these squares. At times, beginner players, they do not evaluate the pieces very well. So a bishop is far worth more than a pawn. So here I'm just going to take. Don't need to overthink it. And now here I'm going to bring in my other knight. And I also need to be very careful here because there are some cases where you might blunder this knight. But this knight always has this target, so I need to be aware of that at all times. But at this point, I am not worried at all. There is nothing that is quite particularly scared. And he cannot take this because, like I said, this bishop is, this knight is looking at that bishop. So this was just a big blunder on his part. Not bad, not bad. I can say here, I have a very interesting move, which is to bring my queen out, and then he can push here, drop back my knight, and then lift my rook up so that I can be threatening here. But remember, this is by no means a checkmate because the knight is covering that square. So I'm just going to bring my queen out here because it also defends the pawn. But just make sure that I don't blunder the queen take because that's not a checkmate. So here there should be a very interesting move. So let me just do I even need to do the rook lift? Okay, so he's trying to push this move, which is okay. But I have this sneaky move. Oh, I see, I see. He's trying to capture the pawn here. This is a weakness. So I just need to look out for my weaknesses. I feel like, and then I should be good. So I can lift this rook right away so that I can try to instigate his position. But I don't like that move because it takes away a square for my knight. So here is the goal right now. So I can bring out my knight because I need to develop my pieces, or even bring out my knight to this square because I'll be putting pressure on the bishop and the bishop needs to go back. It can only go back to this square, which is not a particularly good square for the bishop. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's way better if the knight came this side, but that's all that I need to think about at the moment. Does my opponent have anything that is particularly scary this side? I don't think so. And if they push the pawn, I can just push my pawn in return, and I'll also be threatening the bishop coming to the a square, the a6 square, so that's okay. Let me just lift my rook in preparation for that. If they push the pawn, I can always just push my pawn in return. Not bad of a move. Yeah, that's another reason why I didn't want to bring my rook to f6 because I don't have a square for my knight to go to. So here, actually now the best move I would say is this. It's chasing the queen away. And it gives me enough room to even chase away the bishop. So at this point, I can chase away the bishop. I can play a move like that, but I don't need to. Don't I? Now that I'm thinking about it, I might just need to play that move. Phone is ringing. Yeah. See how I'm staying up late so that I can record these videos for you guys. I'm about to take this a little bit more serious, so just be on the lookout. So there is nothing particularly here that we need to be scared of. I can even just threaten the bishop. So let me play him. So here we can exchange everything. There is nothing I should be scared of. Here would have been better, but it's okay. Okay, that's a nice move. Trying to push the pawn. Okay, yeah, that's actually a very nice move. Yeah, I can just drop back. If he pushes the pawn, I can push my pawn in return. Oh, I can even take. Can I? After take? Take. No, my queen is going to be hanging. See, you start getting more ideas. So, yeah, pushing the pawn is okay, but I can also just drop back. After capture, I can also take the f pawn after it is taken by the e pawn, and then just put more pressure on the position. Okay, it's taken with that pawn. Just take back. Now this is an open file that we will need to fight for. Always need to place your pieces on those open files because they tend to be very important, especially in the endgame. Right? In the case where we don't have anything this side, we can always try to put down more pressure on those open file. He has played the move. I don't have anything against that move. It's It's a particularly interesting move. I can just drop back. So this is what I will do. I will drop back. Yeah, I'll drop back just to see what he wants to do there. And I'll be putting more pressure on that particular pawn. So he's forced to either push or take. Yeah, or he could have tried to capture this other pawn, but I don't see any use in doing that. So now my game plan needs to change a little bit. I need to find a way to put I see. It's not allowing me any space to breathe. He has 5 minutes and I don't have much. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ignore that threat for now. It's not ideal for you to put your pieces on pins like this, but I'm going to ignore it because I have a plan. I need to come and capture this knight here because this knight is what is defending this. So now I'm going to chase the queen away. And now I'm going to sack this knight because I'm sure it's trying to attack this knight. Right? I'm going to sack it away. Yeah, I figured. Do I even need to sack it? Okay, imagine I don't. I can play here, put more pressure on the queen, and now I can bring my queen to g7 to put more pressure on g2, trying to threaten a checkmate. And that should be winning for me because there is always that pressure of the knight having to move. And where does it move to? I do not see any good squares. All right, so now I can bring my rook to g7 so I can put more pressure on g2. So now my threat is to sack there. Yeah, I always have this threat of sacking there. And now I'm threatening checkmate. So my opponent has to respond to that. So let's just call that a free knight. Yeah, that's not a good move because this queen can actually come back and threaten the queen. You see? And this is still under threat. I'm still threatening a checkmate. So he has to push, and then I'll take the queen, and then that's GG's. That's game over. So this is already won. And at this level, you can afford to make a few mistakes here and there. You won't be affected that much. Okay, so he has taken the queen. Here, any piece that I take with is alright, but I'll take with I take with this knight because I want this knight to be rotated to this quadratic. Then go and put more pressure on that position. Okay, so he has given up the queen, which is alright. Like I said, this should be GG's. Let me now instigate the position and win the position. Yeah, this should be winning for me. Like, even if I don't want to win, this is just too easy. This is a very interesting move, eh? This is a very interesting move. So I'm allowing him to pin me, but then I have a check, and then after he takes, I have another capture. He cannot take with any of the pieces. Oh yeah. Okay, let's take here because I have this capture and that capture. So even if he attacked uh my pieces, I still have a very good attack this side, which will result in me winning the game. So I do not mind. He needs to respond to that. That is a good move. Can't lie. Very, very constructive. All right. Now I have this very interesting move. Just a queen here. trying to put more pressure there, and this is also being blocked. His best move is, does he even have a better move? Well, I can't see a better move here because I have check, rook drop, I take the bishop. Oh yeah, so just bring in the piece as he's supposed to here. That would solve a lot of problems. Or will it? Or will it solve anything? Because I still have that take. I'm threatening checkmate. I don't think it will solve much of the problems. Yeah, still gone. Still gone, still gone. The position is just too good at this point. Right? And this is how you win usually at these levels, right? Just follow up the plans, see how the pieces are positioned, and put your pieces on squares that maximize the space. So like you see, all of my pieces are controlling the center. Like each and every particular square is being controlled by one of my pieces, right? A pawn is controlling this square. This pawn is controlling that square. The bishop is controlling that. The e4 square, and this knight is controlling the square that it is at, right? So here we said I can take that and take that, and that should be GG's, right? So I'm just going to take that. I'm threatening to take a rook or checkmate him if he moves the rook away. If he takes with the other rook, I'm just taking in, that should be checkmate at h1. So yeah. So this is checkmate, right? Yeah, that's checkmate. Nothing much that he can do. Can I throw this guy? Let me see. So check, blocks, check, can come in here. Okay, I don't have a good throw. Yeah, I don't have a good throw. Let me just checkmate him. And yeah, that's how you win. This was like how many moves? 34 moves. Shouldn't be that long, especially when you're playing long format games like these ones, especially at this level. Like you can afford to make even one or two mistakes. It doesn't matter. When you reach 2000s, that's when you and start being a bit cautious on the moves that you make. Or if you make one mistake, you're going, yeah. I would say 2000 is that stage. But when you're playing at the 1400 level, I would say you can afford to make a few mistakes here and there. So let's play one last game. Let's go 3-on-3. So now here, we're going to try to combine all of the things that we've learned. So central control, right? So we can develop any of the pieces, but just make sure that it is controlling the center, right? If it's not controlling the center, it's not a good development. Why isn't it moving? Yeah, it's not a good first move. So I can start with what is happening? Oh, what is happening? Yeah, is my internet lagging or something? Yeah, but I should just make sure that I win beforehand. So this is the knight, right? I remove it. Was it's controlling these particular squares. I didn't have to. I can play the London, which controls the center, but is much more solid, as some people might call it. But I feel like it's boring. That's from my perspective. There are much more interesting lines. So I can take here. Yo, what is happening? I think something is wrong with my computer. Okay, so we can play this again, pinning a knight and removing its control of the center. So it's not very much recommended that you remove your bishops. because they're usually stronger than knights. Do I even want to remove that bishop? Mm-hmm. I'm considering, because I can take here and I take that, but I'll be opening up for the bishops. So that is not good at all. So we'll get into another principle later on, which is to take is a mistake. So usually just don't want to take pieces. You want to get compensation for taking those pieces, right? So like in this case, I just don't want to take that. So these are some weaknesses, but in most cases they don't turn out to be much of a huge weaknesses in most positions, right? So he's attacking that. So just trying to instigate him to push up the pawns, and then you'll see how we can attack those weaknesses, right? So the weaknesses that you need to be skilled to make use of. If you are not skilled, you're unlikely to make any use of those weaknesses. So there is a knight jump in here that I just feel like is doesn't so I see what he's trying to do. He's not trying to commit. So he's trying to be as volatile as possible. Can go in any direction, that kind of play. So it's okay. So in my case, I can rotate this knight to instigate the position, try to chase away the bishop and all. Or I can just come for the exchange of the bishop. But, I don't know, for some reason I do not like that. I can push the pawn so that I just castle out him castling to the queen side, but I can also entice it so that it thinks castling to the queen side is a good idea. Okay, so now let's look at the position, right? I have a bishop here, which if attacked, I can just drop back. I have a bishop here. Okay, this is all right. I can take that, but I don't exactly need to. I can drop back my bishop as well. Is my bishop getting trapped? I don't think so. So this is all right. I don't want to take the bishop because I feel like my bishop is a little bit more active. If this knight takes, I'm okay with that. I can just capture with this pawn, open up for my file, my h file, and this knight is a little bit more active. So you'll be removing an active piece for an inactive piece, which is okay for me. So he's attacking my bishop. Do I need to remove it? In my opinion, I would say no. I don't need to. I can counter attack because you see now this knight was defending a central square, but now that it has been removed, it is no longer doing that. So I can instigate by playing that move, putting pressure on the queen, and that knight over there is not doing much. Okay, that is good. That is good for me, at least. I can push this pawn, but I don't need to. I can also push there. I chase away the knight and then I instigate there. But again, I don't need to. So what is the best follow-up here? So now let's look at the position overall. So I can just castle. Yeah, I can just castle. When he captures now here, instead of capturing the edge pawn, I'm going to open up for the f5 so that I can have a good entrance point for my rook. Always put your rooks on open files. So here I'm just trying to instigate him to capture my bishop so that I can have an h5. He has castled as well. All right, all right, all right. Do you have any interesting moves? Yeah. Okay, so we are behind time. So I need to catch up on time. So probably play a bit quicker. Okay, let me remove that out of the way. and just this one out as well. So I can take here, which is all right. Okay, let me just open up for my F file so that I have a point of attack. You know, like I initially told you, that was initially the plan, right? I need to have a square that I can easily attack that is closer to the king. So if I open up, now I offer the open file and I can easily attack his position. If he opens up, he has the upper hand and he can easily attack my position. So yeah, not a bad move, not a bad move. So I can play here if this knight wasn't there, or I can just drop back. I don't hate that move. That's actually an interesting move. So I can just drop back because this is a very huge weakness in his position. So if he takes here, I can even take that with my bishop, check, and then yeah, not bad, not bad. If he takes here, I'm just taking with my pawn. But this pawn push was a good initiative, very good initiative. Okay, he has pushed. Don't think that's a good move. What does it do after I push? Ooh, I see what it's trying to do. But it doesn't exactly work because now I have to have this weakness. I should have probably kept the knight so that I can work well with this weakness that he has. Okay, let me put my rook there. If he takes, I'm just taking. I'll be creating a weakness, but I see what it's trying to do. But that's a bad move because I can easily fork its pieces. So the queen and the rook forked. One has to fall. So I can take here first. If he doesn't take, I have a check. Yeah, I have a check first. Or I can take here. Which one is better? But I can just still take here. Because if he doesn't take that, he has to take this. Because I'm threatening to capture here. Yeah, and now I have a check. And I can just, do I need to push? Let me come in for the exchange. I'm just taking here, taking there. I can take the rook because he can't take my rook. I'm taking that with a check. Interesting. I see I has chosen death. Yeah, this man has chosen death. He doesn't love himself in it. Oh, that would have been so much better. Yeah, that would have been so much better. Yeah, I missed that one. I think I played it in a bit of a rush. Can take care. Ooh, this is a good move. So I just give up everything so that I can checkmate him here. Wanted to take, but come on, a checkmate is always better. So this is a checkmate, and there is nothing particularly here. This should be winning for me. Yeah, I can even take here, and this is a checkmate. This is a checkmate. I have so many checkmates. I can't even account. Yeah, yeah, seen it. He's smart. Though he saw it at the very end. So in these past three games, I've gained what? I was at 12. I've gained about 400 points, 400 elos. That's a lot. And yeah, you can easily do that just by following the few things that I've told you. Control the center, make sure that you control the center, and make sure that you try to be a little bit more aggressive, not play passively. I'll be introducing you to more principles as time goes on, but I feel like for a first video, just doing that is good. I feel like I've introduced you to some fundamentals that are very important. Just controlling the center, putting your pieces in the center, ensuring that they control the center helps a lot. You saw how in most of these games, let me even review this game a little bit so that I can show you what I'm talking about, right? So, yeah, so I'm either controlling the center or removing a piece that is controlling the center, right? So this is controlling the center. I can easily capture it. That's a Trompowsky lines. This should be given names, yeah, Trompowsky attack. This is quite interesting. There are some ideas of capturing where you just disturb your opponent's pawn structure. I don't think my opponent would have understood that exactly. I mean, they're 1500, but it's not exactly beneficial. You don't benefit as much from just capturing the pawn because it's opening. They are easily going to undouble their pawns. But there are lines where I like to take, but I also don't need to. So d5, just playing normal. Okay, they play I play f3. So again, just controlling the center. Notice each and every move that I'm playing is this one is controlling the center. Just it's so much simplified, controlling the center. Right? I'm removing a piece that is controlling the center. I mean, I can also, the bishop could have also come to this particular square, right? To try to remove a piece that is controlling the center as I am trying to control the center. If the bishop captures, I can capture with the queen, controlling the center, right? That is just simplifies the game a lot, right? All the moves that I'm playing are controlling the center, controlling the center. My opponent pushes the pawns, I just don't mind them, right? Because they're neither controlling the center and they're creating weaknesses that I can later utilize, right? So they push there, I just drop back with my bishop. They push there, I drop back again to the b3 square with my bishop. They try to develop their bishop to a good square, but I wouldn't exactly say that is a good square. So notice I can easily come here now for an exchanger over my bishop. Here the best move would have been to come, so in this position, the best move would have been to attack my bishop. Should I turn on the engine so that I can see the lines it's recommending? Ah, never mind. So yeah, here, I believe the best move would have been to come in with the knight to capture the bishop. If I take the, doesn't make much of a difference because I need to develop my knight to a good square. So this would be a little bit of an instability, I would say. And here, there is not much over, I would say, compensation. But I do not mind. I was okay with that. Okay with weakening their pieces to double up my pawn because this is going to be forever a weakness and the rook has to defend this particular pawn. So this is what I mean. After here, I can even just castle. I don't need to do much there. And I take, and this is forever a weakness, right? And I was okay with this. The computer is saying it's in my favor, yeah. So I was okay with that. So I push bishop there, just develop my knight. I thought of something like this, but I can just and develop. Bring back my bishop, not undevelop it. So bring it back to c2, forcing an exchange. If they take, I take, and now they'll be forced to take it all the way back, and then I can castle, right? And you also need to make sure that you castle as early as possible, right? But first of all, I just wanted to show you why central control is very important in these games when you're playing. All of my pieces, look, right? Somewhere in the center there have control, or they're removing a piece that is controlling the center. This queen, yeah, controls the center. This bishop, well, not really, right? Center controlling these four squares. This knight, yes, it is, but I can just easily remove it. But I would say the position is not that much different, but I'm just simplifying it for you. Like even the computer agrees, this is okay. It's not a bad position, right? And you just follow that simple principle. So now they have brought the knight in the center, right, trying to exchange for my bishop. I don't want to exchange the bishop because I know my bishop is much stronger than theirs, because it is already developed. I've already played 1, 2, 3 for for a bishop that has only moved once, right? That is not a good exchange, right? As long as my bishop is not getting trapped, I can try to secure it so that this knight can be the one that captures my bishop. And if it captures it, I'm going to open up for the h file. So now they cannot easily castle this side. And I'm also threatening ideas of pawn push so that they cannot castle this side. The center is very much strong. They don't have a way to penetrate through. So it's unlikely that they capture my bishop. So knight comes to a5. I was thinking of bringing my bishop here, but it doesn't work because over this move, right? I take and they take care. Oh, that's not the sequence. Oh, because of that. Mm. Then why is it? Why is the vowel dropping here? Oh, it's taking the bishop. Yeah. It's taking the bishop. So take the bishop. Yeah, not the pawn, because in this case it doesn't particularly work. Yeah, and now after whichever piece that I take with, they're taking with the pawn. So in the other sequence it doesn't work, because once they take care, my knight comes in and I'm threatening to capture the pawn. So wherever the queen goes, say the queen goes back here, it's checkmate. If it goes to this square, I have checkmate. Is that a checkmate? Okay, I have check. Move here, take. That was a better move. Oh, the knight can also come back. Let me look at the line. Oh, come on! I have to pay for the engine for me to get the line. That's disgraceful. All right, we just use our mind. All right. So what is the sequence here? So that doesn't work. That's too slow. Take the pawn. The rook is under trouble. Oh, oh, there's also a bishop that can take there, so that's not a good move. And okay, so take here. Rook comes here. Can we come for the exchange? Oh yeah, force the exchange. If he takes, we take. We're threatening checkmate. So not so good for white. Yeah, I feel like that should be the line. but it's saying 4 points, so it's obviously longer than that. Black should find a way to hold this position, but yeah, you can see. So it's a bit complicated, but yeah, that's why I didn't play that, because I would end up losing immediately because of knight takes there. That would just be me giving up a free piece for no good reason, right? All right. So let's look at what happened on the board. All right. So I took here because you see there is a knight that is invading my space, right? This knight is a very strong knight. This knight for me is the equivalence of this knight, because it's attacking so many squares that it's preventing your pieces to move to there. That's why you need to place these pieces in the center, right? When it's in a central position, it has so much more control. So I need to remove this particular knight. That's why I took there. So there's a good reason for taking there. And after that, I can chase away the bishop. So now the bishop doesn't have a good square to go to. And now I am putting a pawn in the center. So I'm putting as much pressure in the center as possible. Notice all of my pieces are pointing towards the center. And that way I can easily convert that position into a much better position. And notice what happens after that. I drop back. It took my bishop. I take. After the bishop comes there, I push the pawn. The reason is simple. I want him to capture me, and I put one of my pieces there in the center. I'm creating a weakness. So for me, creating this weakness is a bit more important. So he has to take there, and now I took with my knight. The reason as to why I took with my knight is because, I mean, it's opposite color bishop, but in this particular middle game, it is not drawn anymore because my bishop is going to be stronger. The reason as to why it's going to be stronger is because I don't have so many weaknesses as compared to my opponent. My opponent, this is my only weakness if I'm being honest, but I can easily push that. My opponent has this, they have that, they have that. So they have so many weaknesses on so many fronts. So in this particular position, I have a better position. If I don't play well, it can draw, but I don't think it's going to draw because my position is just so much vibrant, and so they're already trying to push the pawn, so trying to create weaknesses for me as well, which is a good move. You cannot just be too passive. I double up on the weakness, so that once my knight leaves that square, so they already immediately they blundered because they're like, oh, opponent is putting too much pressure on that point. I don't know how they thought playing that move is defending, but notice how all my pieces are directed towards the center. All of my pieces are directed towards the center, and that is how you want to play, right? All of my pieces are just directed towards the center. Chess becomes so much easier when you just focus on that same principle. That same principle is what breaks and makes your game. So now I put the knight on the appropriate square, and this is where the fireworks started. So I take the rook, my opponent takes. So I was thinking of coming back, but there was check, and then the queen comes to any square that basically does not get captured. So this all going back, but this is better. So that's why I did not take the pawn, or even check. I guess check would have worked a little bit better, but the king can take, and then after I take here, the queen can come and take this check. It doesn't work, see? So the king is going to be safe here. So that's why I opted to take the bishop first, because he doesn't have enough time to take the pawn at g and the knight at f8. So it just is much more harder for my opponent to take, and I'm also threatening check here. So my check is still standing, and still have this threat of taking the bishop or the knight actually coming out and taking the pawn. So my opponent has to respond to that appropriately, and they took, which in this case is the best move. So after taking, king moves away, I threaten the rook. So here the idea is I want to capture the rook while I'm forcing the exchange. So if he doesn't defend the rook, I'm taking the rook. And if he doesn't capture my queen, I'm also taking the rook. I have a better position in this particular case. What do? I take the pawn. The reason is simple. He cannot take because I have a check. And I am winning. So opponent first captured the pawn, which is a good intermediate move. I just take back. After they took my rook, so here the best move would have been just bringing the queen to f4. So bringing my queen forward first instead of the rook, like I did. So this was a little bit of an inaccuracy. But after that, still put more pressure on the position. So they came with check. I saw this doesn't do anything. I can easily ignore that. And yeah, after this, my opponent came there, and that is just a checkmate. They cannot do anything about that. No matter what they do, I'm forcing that checkmate. And you see, just by applying those principles, I ended up winning a game. And this is how chess, this is how easy chess can be. You don't have to overcomplicate things, right? Just follow those simple principles. Control the center, control the center, control the center. Is a piece controlling the center? Can I remove a piece that is controlling the center? And that is all that I wanted you to know in this particular lesson. Just the principle of controlling the center. I've demonstrated how controlling the center can be so strong of a concept that it makes you win games so easily. You don't even have to think about it.